I'm going to share with you practical steps to take in your career to prepare yourself as someone who is ready to have the promotion given to you by your workplace, by your bosses. Hey, welcome yet to a brand new episode. I'm your host, Dr. Faith Elizabeth Nanyonga. If you're listening in today, I'd like to take this minute to thank you for each and every time that you tune in to listen to me as I teach about career development and personal development. Your support is invaluable to me, and I don't take it for granted. If it's your first time here, welcome to the Frame Solution podcast. And if you'd like to be a fan, there are 3 ways you can support this show and spread the love. Every single share, subscribe count matters, so do not think your efforts go unnoticed. The first way you could support this show is by leaving a review in Apple Podcasts. Reviews not only make the world a better place for me as the podcast gets to many ears, but also rank our podcast higher in the podcast charts. You can subscribe to this podcast so that you do not miss out any episode as they are released. And also, you could choose to be a guest on the podcast by sending in an email. The email address is theframesolutions@gmail.com. Thank you once again. In this episode, I'm going to share with you how to prepare yourself for promotion, a job promotion. I'm going to share with you practical steps to take in your career to prepare yourself as someone who is ready to have the promotion given to you by your workplace, by your bosses. I recently had 2 promotions given to me ever since I came back from maternity leave. I've been working since the 1st of July 2023, and today as I record this episode, it's the 10th of October 2023. In 3 months, I'd given my bosses the proof to believe I have what it takes to do the job at a promoted state. In 3 months, I'd shown my bosses I have what it takes to become promoted after having a year off my job. This didn't come easy. This required some strategic planning and some things that I've done in my career to get me to this point that I'm promoted. Starting from next year, I'll be working as a consultant for my company, and it's a big post to step in and big shoes to fill because I've never been a consultant before, but I believe I have what it takes to do that job because of the preparation and the things I'm going to share with you in this episode. Without further ado, let's get right into this episode. So planning and preparing for job promotion requires a strategic approach and consistent effort over time. The first point I have to tell you is you have to be self-aware. If you've been here before on this podcast, you'll know that this is something I teach about: self-awareness, being aware of your strength, of your weaknesses, of your current skills, and also identifying those gaps that you lack in which you need improvement. And you do this by doing a self-assessment. If you've downloaded my blueprint to career clarity, the first step to arriving at career clarity is having a self-assessment of your current skills, your knowledge, your weaknesses, and identifying areas in your life and in your career that require you to improve. When you identify these areas, you devise practical tips that you're going to take to get you where you want to go. So, if you haven't downloaded the blueprint to career clarity, a link will be in the description of this episode. Please, I urge you to download it and use it to help you align your career to your goals. So, if you're clear on the career path you're on, the rest of the things will be easier for you to follow through with, and the opportunities that align with who you really are will come at your lap and you'll be able to take them up. Number 2 is to set clear career goals. Before I went back to my work during my maternity leave, I had time to sit down and evaluate my career. I knew I'd been at my current job since 2021, and I felt it was right for me to start thinking of the next career move. Not moving from my workplace, but a career move, moving me up on the ladder of my career path. So what I did is I sat down and used the same career clarity blueprint to define my long-term and short-term career objectives. I defined what I want out of my career in the short term and what I want out of my career in the long term. I also determined the specific position I wanted to reach by the end of 2024. Determining this, I looked at my strengths, I looked at things I'm good at, I looked at the previous work that I'd done for my company, and the skills I'd gained during my maternity leave. In my maternity leave, I was just not sitting home looking after my child, but I also had time to do some career development. I decided to take up project management, and I'm doing a project management course with Project Management Institute. It's an American association where they certify project managers. I took up that course. I decided to become more articulate in how I communicate by starting up my YouTube channel, by also resuming this podcast, and by making my visibility seen in other fronts of my life, so that when I speak as I'm bargaining or asking for career promotion, my bosses know that what I'm speaking is knowledge and what I'm doing is actually going to move my career ahead. So I urge you to set clear career goals. Define your long-term and short-term career objectives, and also determine those specific positions or levels that you want to reach. I knew the next important level I needed to reach was to stop being solely a lab person, but to get into the management of my company. By management, meaning that I wanted to sit on the managerial committee of my company and air out things that are going to move the projects that I work on ahead. Number 3 is to understand your company expectations. Understanding how your company's promotion criteria are run are going to help you align your goals to the policies of your company. I discussed my expectation and potential career paths with my immediate boss, and I told him what I wanted out of my career. In fact, many of the times I was hinting on this even before I went for maternity leave, because I remember sitting with my boss and telling him before I went for my maternity leave that I was going to use my maternity leave to get a project management certificate, learn more about project management, and also align myself for that position of running the project at my workplace. I knew we didn't have a project manager, and I felt this would be the right position that I would earmark and tell my bosses about. So that's exactly what I did. Number 4 is to improve on your skills. As I've mentioned, I enrolled into project management. I've done project management in my undergraduate. I did a bit of it in my master's, and also my PhD was more of, I was doing project management because you manage your project as a PhD student. So I had the skills and the knowledge, but I didn't have the certification that I needed to convince my bosses that I had what it took to become a project manager. So I identified the skills and qualifications that I needed for that desired position, and I went ahead to attain those skills and knowledge. I also spoke with my mentor. I have a couple of mentors, some of them immediately in my career and some outside my career, and sought their input when it comes to what happens when you become a consultant, what happens when you get into the managerial parts of the company other than being the technical person in terms of labs and all. As you improve your skills, please share it. Show it through your LinkedIn. LinkedIn has that option whereby you can say, I attended this course, I have done this certification, I have attended this conference, I've attained this certificate. So make the visibility of your achievements seen by the rest of the people who are going to decide whether you get the promotion or no promotion. It makes no sense for you to attain that qualification and you just hide it in your folders without showcasing it to the world that you've attained the skills that you need to get ahead. Also, if you want to get a promotion, you have to understand how to work with people. Working with people comes down to your networking and your building of relationships. Because for someone to trust you to give you a promotion, especially your boss and your managers, you need to show them that they can trust you to do that job. Trust is something that can be built over time Trust can be built by how you present yourself at your workplace, by how you address issues that you experience at your workplace. Are you a problem fixer? Are you a problem solver? Are you a team builder? Are you a person who sticks by their word? Do you show proactiveness? Do you show that you are in this position for the best of the company's abilities? All these are things that are going to position you as someone who is ready to have that promotion. So, if you build yourself a professional network, it should be within and outside your organization. Develop a positive relationship with your colleagues, your mentors, and your senior leaders. These are the people that are going to decide whether you're fit to have that position. So if your relationship with your immediate managers, with your colleagues, and your mentors are not good, you're not going to get this promotion. So as you position yourself as someone who is capable of taking up this position, make sure that you build your networks and that your networks can trust you. Your networks are going to be those people who will speak about you good things, even if you're missing in that room that they are making these decisions from. I also sought feedback. Seeking feedback is sometimes very hard because our brains want to protect us from any negativity, anything that might jeopardize our feelings. So most times when you want to seek feedback, we only want to seek feedback if what we've done is good. But most of the times when I completed a project, I would go to my boss and ask him, what did you think about my approach in solving this problem? What did you think about my result that we got from this project? This feedback helped me find areas in my work that I needed to improve. I recall on this one occasion, I made a presentation. I was so happy about the presentation. And when I presented it in the meeting that we had with my bosses, my boss said, this presentation is good, but there's lots of information that you left out. And being a person who is technical, I'd left out this information thinking that everyone understood what the project presentation was all about. But I'd left out some of the key information that needed to help other people understand what I'd written about in that presentation. So hadn't I sought feedback from my boss, I wouldn't have known that, I need to include as much information as possible to make sure that the people I'm presenting to are able to understand what I'm presenting. Because I am the technical person, for them they are my audience. So if I leave out that information that they need to understand how I go to point B from A, they won't be able to understand how the project has progressed along. So seeking feedback can help you discover those areas that you need to improve in and also can help you position yourself better. It makes no sense for you to think you're ready for promotion when your bosses think you're not ready for the promotion. You understand? So with feedback, you'll be able to align what you think you've done to what they think you are doing. Number 7 would be to document your achievements. I'm a person who has a folder on my computer. Every time I get an email that says, well done, that was a good job, I'll snap a screenshot of it and keep it in that folder. So this is what I encourage all my clients to do. I encourage you to have a folder on your computer where you put your wins. Your wins could be, well done on that project, you delivered it well. The client was very happy with you, and this is the feedback they left at the end of the day. So when you keep those notes and those emails, what's going to happen? You'll have more leverage when you go to bargain with your bosses. You'll have more leverage when you go to negotiate your next promotion, because you'll have proof to show, I didn't just do the work, but here's the proof. Here are the receipts to show that what I did benefited the company. So keep a record of your achievements, your projects, and your responsibilities. Also, highlight how your work has benefited the company. This is very, very important, because the reasons as to why you're brought into the company is to do a specific task. I recently shared with one of my friends when we had our independence celebration that when I joined my company, I gave my bosses 3 months to give them the results that they needed Initially, they had someone who was doing the work before I came in, who didn't deliver for 2 years. And here I am, Faith, coming in, and I'm like, you know what? I want to work on this project. In 3 months maximum, we would have gotten results from point A to point B. And I did that work in 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, I was able to show them that I was the right candidate to do that work. And from then on, I started collecting those receipts to show that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it to the best of my ability, and the results speak for themselves. So, highlight your achievements. Number 8 is to show initiative. Showing initiative would mean you volunteer or do additional work. This sometimes comes off as something that is icky, because if you do more than what you're paid for, sometimes it can cause blurring your boundaries and also burnout. But you can use this to your advantage. This is my take on this. All the times that I've done something way beyond what I'm expected to do, I document it and I highlight it in such a way that I'm doing this as an extra activity on top of my job, but I can only do it if my time permits me to do this. Say, for instance, I might need to write a project, but I'm working on already existing project. How I would do this is that in my lunchtime, I might sit and highlight the components of that project that I'm going to work on. If I'm making a progress report on the project that I'm currently working on and this additional project that I'm working on at my lunchtime, I'll highlight that during my lunchtime, I got a few minutes to highlight the outline of this new project added on to me. You make sure that you do not blur the lines of your professional work. Anything that you do outside your normal work, you should highlight it clearly to your bosses, to your colleagues, to your human resource, to your supervisor, to show them this is way beyond what I'm paid to do, but I'm doing it because I'm interested in this job. But do not let that addendum work take up most of your time so that you don't do your job. So you need to prioritize your work and meet deadlines. Do not use your added project as an excuse not to do the work that you have to do in the first place. For you to be promoted, you need to develop leadership skills. You have to show the ability that you're able to lead and inspire others. You have to show that you're able to take on roles that involve leading and mentoring others. This is something that I've done through this podcast. I come on here every week and share with you tactical steps that you can take to move your career and your personal life ahead. These are things that I showcase on my LinkedIn, I showcase in my CV, I showcase with my colleagues, and I let them know the kind of work I do outside my normal work. All these added skills that I'm gaining are helping me position me as someone who is ready to take on new responsibility and who is able to lead others. So, work on developing your leadership skills. A leader is someone who leads by example. You won't say that you're going to do something and not do it when you're a leader. A leader is someone who takes on the group. You're not a ruler. You're not a manager. You're someone who has to be exemplary. You won't say that you do your work, but when you come late at work. You won't say that you concentrate on your work, but when most of the time you're spending it on your social media. So, use the time that you have in your career at your work to work on your leadership skills. You don't need to lead a big group to be a leader. You can lead from the small things that you do. You can lead from how you tackle scenarios at your workplace, from how you problem solve, from how you interact with others, from how you give feedback to your colleagues and people who you work with. All these are going to help you position you as someone who is ready to take up that promotion at your workplace. So to conclude this episode, I'd like to encourage you today to sit down and assess your career. Assess where you want to see yourself in 2024. There are very few days actually to the new year. Do not wait until the new year for you to work on your next promotion. Start working on it today. Start showcasing what you do today. If you've loved this episode and you want to work with me on a one-to-one basis, book yourself a 30 minutes free call. The link will be in the description of this episode. And also, if you have any topics that you want me to talk about in this season 3, you can drop me an email. The email address is also down. I'm planning on opening up a space whereby my listeners can ask me questions and I can answer them to the best of my abilities. So if you have any questions that you want me to tackle when it comes to advancing your career, getting ahead, overcoming imposter syndrome, achieving the goals that you've set, please leave me a message and I'll be sure to answer them in the coming episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in and have yourself a lovely day. Bye. I hope you've learned something from this episode. And if you have, please rate and review wherever you listen to your podcast. Subscribe to this podcast. Share it with your family, friends, and those that you think are interested in career development. Also, follow me on the socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. The username is The Frame Solutions. I can't wait to speak to you in the next episode. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.